This is my project 14 of my 100 CloudGuard portfolio projects, and in this project we're going to be building a hybrid cloud network connection on AWS. Usually in a corporate environment, when you're building this, you want to use AWS Direct Connect for the best latency. But in this project, when you're building projects, we usually don't have the opportunity to set up Direct Connect from your home or from the lab you're building. So in this project, we're going to be simulating that. We're going to create a dedicated VPC to represent our on-prem, and then we're going to deploy a software router in that on an EC2 instance within that VPN, and then we're going to build a cloud VPN, build two separate VPNs, use Transit Gateway to connect them, and then to link the cloud environment with our simulated on-prem environment, we're going to use Site-to-Site VPN to connect both environments. So on our on-prem environment, we're going to set up customer gateway, and then we're going to set up Transit Gateway in the cloud environment, and then we're going to use Site-to-Site VPN to connect them. So we're going to deploy this. I initially started deploying it using the AWS console, but because there are so many configurations there, I don't want to make any mistake. So I now switched it to try to use CloudFormation to deploy. So we're going to use CloudFormation to deploy, but before we do that, let's go over the architecture so I can walk you through the architecture and everything that it entails. Then we'll now move on to the AWS console and then use CloudFormation to deploy it and then make the configuration changes. So let's hop on so I can walk you through the architecture. So this is the architecture we're going to be building in this project here. On the left, we have our simulated on-premises environment, and on the right we have our cloud environment. Let's start from the left first. So because most people don't have access to real corporate data center or AWS Direct Connect circuit, we're going to be simulating the entire on-prem network using a dedicated VPC, which is this one we're creating right here. The VPC represents our physical data center, our enterprise router, which you're going to be deploying. Inside the VPC, we deploy the OpenSwan. You can use pfSense if you want, but I'm using the OpenSwan VPN router running on an EC2 instance. We're going to deploy that in the environment. This instance acts as the enterprise edge router. We're going to be we're also going to be assigning an elastic IP address to the router. The elastic IP simulates the public IP address of our on-premises enterprise router. And then next we're going to deploy a test server in the same subnet, and we're going to use the test server. The route table for this the route table is configured so that all traffic going from this VPC, which is all traffic going from this VPC, specifically this 10.0.0.0.8, which represents all VPCs in AWS, is going to be going through the VPN router here. So this creates a realistic hybrid network simulation. So all traffic is going to pass through this router we're going to be configuring, and then it goes out to the customer gateway. Now on the right here, where we have our cloud environment, at the center of the architecture is going to be our Transit Gateway, which acts as a centralized cloud router for us. Instead of connecting VPC through VPC pairing, for this case we're going to be using Transit Gateway, and I'll explain why. So in VPC A here, we're going to have a server, EC2 instance of server A. In VPC C, we're going to have server C in there. This architecture demonstrates how enterprises will centrally manage routing and segmentation, as you can see here, and also multi-VPC communication. If we had other VPCs, instead of setting up VPC pairing, we just use Transit Gateway to route traffic among the VPC. So here the site-to-site VPN, the site-to-site VPN terminate. So here the site-to-site VPN terminates here and then routes to our transit gateway. The customer gateway from our on-premises connects through two IPsec tunnels that AWS deployed for us, and then any traffic from our on-premises is routed through the customer gateway and then through the IPsec tunnel we have. It terminates at the site-to-site VPN and then routes traffic to our transit gateway. Then transit gateway routes to our VPN, and then transit gateway routes to our VPCs. So tunnel 1 here acts as an active tunnel, while tunnel 2 acts as the failover tunnel, just in case if one fails, AWS automatically routes it to the second one with maximum availability for us. So this architecture works because our transit gateway replaces both the virtual private gateway and the direct connect gateway. So this actually routes for us, and we don't need to configure the virtual private gateway and the direct connect gateway. And the VPN over internet simulates the direct connect connection because we have two IPsec tunnels created for us. We have the same routing concepts with the direct connect because we have the BGP routing, we have route propagation, and also have hub and spoke routing here from our transit gateway. So everything should work perfectly if we configure it correctly. Now, why is this important for this project? This architecture is extremely important because hybrid cloud environments are everywhere. Most enterprises are not fully cloud native yet, so they still incorporate or still operate their legacy applications or their internal services or systems on-prem databases, and so having this hybrid connection helps organizations manage connectivity in their environment. So with this being said, let's jump onto the AWS console and then start to build. So this is the AWS console. We're going to go to CloudFormation, and here we're going to create stack, and we're going to this is the stack we're going to be creating right here. So we're going to use the text editor right here to get some code. But here we're going to create stack. Click on this and then upload. Then I'm going to pick up my template and add the template right now and click next. And we have a few parameters set up. We're going to name our stack the hybrid simulation stack, and then we have our parameters set up, EC2 instance. We of course have the VPC, the on-prem VPC CIDR. We have the CIDR A for VPC A and VPC B set up. We're going to go ahead and click next. And then here you don't have to do anything, just scroll down and acknowledge that, and then next. And then go ahead and submit. So while this is creating, I just want to go over one of the limitations AWS has, which is it doesn't, when you're writing code for your EC2 instance, for your when you're writing code for CloudFormation and you're deploying the transit gateway, AWS doesn't actually pass the transit gateway attachment ID. So for this, I created a Lambda function that does that for me, that gets the attachment ID for me and passes it through. So for this, we're going to be deploying it with the Lambda function. So while this is deploying, let's go ahead and wait, and then once it's done deploying, I'll come back and we'll go from there. But this is just the flow of the network flow once everything is configured. It goes through the on-prem router, goes through the customer gateway, passes through the tunnel, goes through the transit gateway, and then goes to the server in the cloud VPC.
but AWS automatically creates two tunnels for us for high availability, tunnel A and tunnel B. These are all IPsec tunnels. So once the stack is done creating, I'll come back and we'll go from there. And there you have it, our stack has been created. But right now I want to walk you through the template so you see everything that we deployed. So in the template here, of course, we have our metadata, and then we have the parameters I already went over with you, the VPC, the on-prem VPC, of course our instance ID, of course our instances, the VPCs, and then the simulated on-prem VPC. We have the IAM role that's gonna have the EC2 describe VPN connection, and then security group for the router. We are allowing port 500 on for the IKE key exchange, and then port 4500 for the IPsec NAT traversal. We have port 50 for ESP protocol IPsec, and then we also have, of course, port 22 to allow for instance connect. And here we have our elastic IP, and that's for the on-prem router. And here we have our launch template. We have our simulated on-prem router configuration. So here is the deployment of our Libre Swan router, and this is all the deployment for the router in our on-prem server. And this is the IPsec tunnel configuration for tunnel 1 and then tunnel 2. And that's going to be on our router. And this is for the Transit Gateway. And that's the Transit Gateway right there. And here we have configuration for VPC A, and then VPC B. And next is going to be the instance endpoint for our SSM connection, because we're going to be connecting to the EC2 instances in a private subnet. So we need to have port 443 open for our SSM endpoint. And this is all for VPC A, and this is the same configuration for VPC B. And here we have our customer gateway and Site-to-Site VPN. That's customer gateway and Site-to-Site VPN. And this is our Lambda function that's going to be grabbing Transit Gateway attachment ID for us. And this is the code for the Lambda function. And these are the outputs we're going to be grabbing from the configuration. So let's go ahead and go over. Let's see what we configured so far. So check our outputs. These are the outputs. And we're going to grab some code here we're going to be running. Let's paste it in our text editor, and then we'll grab the next one. One of them is to establish a session, SSM session, and one is for the configuration of the VPN. So let's go ahead and go in and see what we built so far. So here, VPN. If you go to VPCs, we have our 3 VPCs: on-prem, VPC A, and VPC B. That's the on-prem, and VPC A and VPC B right there. Then we'll go ahead and check the subnets. That's the subnets. We have all 3 subnets. And then route tables, we have all 3 route tables, this one and the other route tables for the other transit gateway. And then of course we have our internet gateway, this one, and that's it over there. And then of course we have our elastic IP for the on-prem router right there. And then if you scroll down here, we'll go to VPN. Also we have a security group setup. If you scroll down to VPN, you see our customer gateway. That's it, and that's the customer gateway setup, this one. And then if you go to site-to-site connections, and that is our site-to-site VPN connection right there. We're going to be coming back here to download the configuration. But let's go to Transit Gateway, and then this is our Transit Gateway here, and then check the attachment. This is Transit Gateway attachments 2 for the 2 VPCs and 1 that was created by the customer gateway. And these are the Transit Gateway attachment ID that AWS doesn't natively pass in code. That's how we use our Lambda function to get it. If you come to instances, let's check out for our EC2 instances and see the instances we have. Go to instances. Now we have the 3 instances. We have the simulation instance, the houses are a router, and then we have the A and B instances. So right now we're going to connect to instance A, the on-prem instance, and then run some configuration. So we can use the SSM connect, but for this purpose I'm just gonna terminate the session. I like connecting via Cloud Shell, that way I can open 2 sessions at the same time. Let's go ahead and open Cloud Shell. So you see I have 2 terminals open. I'm going to use one for the on-prem and then one for the other one of the VPCs, and then that way you can see the connection live. So let's go ahead and establish a session to the on-prem router, and then run some configurations. And there you have it. We have established a session right there. So now let's run configuration on our router to make sure it's configured properly. So let's go ahead and grab this code and run it. And paste it and run it. There you go, everything is configured. You see we have tunnel 1 and tunnel 2. There you go. So now let's grab our configuration, download our configuration. So here we're going to get our configuration for the VPN and then configure our router with our pre-shared key. Let's go ahead and click download. And here we're going to just change it to generic. And then IKV version 1 is what we're using. Then click on download. Let's go ahead and open it. There you go. This is our configuration file. Let's push it to the side, that way we can grab the push it right there, so we can grab our configuration. Now come back here and we're gonna nano into the router, that way we can change the configuration file for the pre-shared key. So let's nano into the secrets configuration file, then enter, and then here we're gonna change the configuration keys, the pre-shared key. So here we have 2 tunnels. This is the configuration. Here we have tunnel 1, and as I said, AWS establishes 2 tunnels for you automatically. One is going to be active and one is going to be failover, and this is for high availability. So right now, if you scroll down, we're gonna grab the configuration, the pre-shared key. Let's grab it and then go ahead and paste it. And there you have it. We have the PSK for tunnel 1. Let's go ahead and grab the PSK for the tunnel 2. If you scroll down, and by the way, right here, if you see, we have the IP address for the tunnel 1. We have the, if you scroll down, we're still in tunnel 1. After grabbing the pre-shared key, if you scroll down, we have the configuration. We have the customer gateway IP, which is right there, and then we have the virtual private gateway IP, which is right there. So that's for tunnel 1. If we scroll down to down, we're gonna get for the tunnel 2. And this is tunnel 2. If you scroll down, we can grab the pre-shared key and then go ahead and copy and paste. Clear the placeholder and then paste it. There you go. Then go ahead and Control X. Yes, and then enter. There you go. So right now, the next thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and close this. We don't need it anymore. But right now, let's go ahead and restart the router. So let's go ahead and do a sudo systemctl and restart. And there you go. So let's give it a few seconds and then we're gonna check the configuration and make sure it's established. The connection is established. So let's go ahead and paste our code here. And here we're doing a sudo IP status and we're grabbing for established from the status. So let's go ahead and enter. There you have it. So I know it's a lot, but let's just open it more so you can see what's going on. If you scroll down here, you will see that we have tunnel 1 port 4500 established, and then if you go down again, you will see tunnel 2 port 4500 established too. There you go. And then you will see that we have established a session right there. You'll see ESP1 in, ESP in, ESP out, and you see the bytes right there. That means we have a session in tunnel 1. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and clear our screen and then the moment of truth. This is where we test our connection to see if it's established. So now we're gonna ping the private IP of one of the servers. We're gonna start with server A in the VPC A. So we're gonna ping this VPC A and then VPC B from our router. So let's go ahead and get our instance. Let's grab VPC A and then we're going to be pinging it. So let's grab the IP address. But before we do that, let's establish a session on the other side of the Cloud Shell. I'm just going to change the instance ID here and then establish a session. That way we have both sessions on the same page. So on the right hand side, we're going to be establishing a session to the VPC A in the cloud. There you have it. So right now we're just gonna go ahead and ping from left to right. So we have on the left we have the on-prem router, and on the right we have the VPCA router. So we're gonna ping them, and then we're gonna ping the VPCA. So the traffic should pass through and then go. So let's grab the private IP of the VPC. Okay. The traffic should pass through all this, go through the customer gateway to the Site-to-Site VPN, go through Transit Gateway, and then reach the instance. So there it is, the moment of truth. Now let's try and connect and see. Now we're going to be connecting from our on-prem server to the VPCA server, and then we're going to reverse the connection and see if everything connects. So right now let's go ahead and try it and see. So from here on the left hand side is going to be the on-prem server. If you look at the VPC, the VPC, you see, as you can see, there is no public IP address. We're only connecting because we use the interface endpoints. But right now we're going to be connecting from the router to the private IP address of the VPCA router. So let's go ahead and connect and see. The traffic is going to pass through the customer gateway, go through the tunnel, and Site-to-Site VPN, Transit Gateway, and then reach the instance, all privately, all through the IPsec tunnel. So let's go ahead and ping it now. Moment of truth. Let's see. Let's go ahead and enter. There you have it. There is no public IP. We are simply reaching it because of the interface endpoint, and our on-prem server is all private. So now we have, as you can see, we have 0% packet loss. We're going to repeat the same thing on the on-prem server, on the cloud server, sorry. We're going to ping our on-prem router from the cloud. So let's grab the cloud IP address. It's going to be the private IP address of our cloud, of our on-prem server, of our on-prem router. Let's go ahead and paste it. For ping, we should get the same thing. As you can see, there's 0 packet loss. Everything is connected. Awesome. So that means there is fully operational hybrid cloud simulation between the two on-prem and cloud servers. But let's repeat the same thing for the VPCB. This time we're gonna connect through the session manager. Same thing. Let's ping the on-prem router and see if we have any connection. And there you have it, we have connection. That is a fully operational hybrid cloud simulation right there we have established. And that is the end of this project. And when you're done with the lab, delete the stack to avoid any charges. Just go ahead and click delete, and then copy and paste, click delete. The VPC interface endpoint costs about 6 cents per hour combined, and the EC2 instances are not resources add up quickly too. So let's go ahead and delete.
And this wraps up project 14, which is a hybrid cloud connection on AWS. In this project, we built a simulated enterprise data center, and we use Site-to-Site VPN for connectivity. We use Transit Gateway for routing, and then we ended up with a high availability hybrid network architecture where we connected from on-prem to the cloud environment using the Site-to-Site VPN. If you enjoyed this project, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow the CloudGuard portfolio series as we continue to build advanced AWS architecture projects. That's going to help beginners and then move on to the expert level. Let me know in the comments what you think about the project and how we can improve on this. Thank you for watching and have a great day.